Welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. And my name is Melissa Kay, and I am the lead strategist at Tap the Potential. And joining me is Dr. Sabrina Starling, the founder of Tap the Potential, business psychologist and TEDx speaker. And today we are going to discuss how to build trust and autonomy on your team to grow your business. And Dr. Sabrina, this is something that's so near and dear to my heart. And we just had our quarterly leadership meeting where we discussed, we went through our vision and discussed our goals. And this really spurred me to have this topic on the podcast today because you are a master at trusting your team members and giving us autonomy. And that is one of the greatest gifts that I know I have ever received. And I believe why our team is so strong. So I just want to, I'd like for you to kick us off with sharing why is it important to build trust and autonomy with your team?
Yes, this topic, Melissa, is so important because we business owners, when we don't trust our team members and we question if they're going to be capable of handling whatever it is we're trying to handle, all we end up doing is just burying ourselves more and more in our business in the day to day. And when we are able to make that transition, and we're going to talk about that today, like how do you even start to make that transition to trusting team members and building that autonomy? As you make that transition, it's so freeing. And that's the key, is paying attention to how you, the business owner, feels when you have handed something off and a team member exceeds your expectations. For me, it's addictive. I'm like, oh, I handed that off and she did that with that. Whoa, that's so cool. And so then I'm like, what else can I hand off to that person? And it's that when we pay attention to that part, I think that has made it a lot easier for me as a business owner. But the other piece of that is there have been times where I've handed things off to team members and it doesn't go well. And it's disappointing and it makes me step back and go, I guess I need to be busier in the business. I need to do more because I can't trust my team. So as human beings, we are wired to notice what goes wrong in our environment and to avoid pain. So anytime we're delegating and it doesn't go well, it's magnified in our mind by 100 times. And we're going to remember that. Like, oh, that time I had that team member who screwed this up when and they caused us to lose our best client because of this. And so that's like going to be 100 times bigger in your head than remembering. And then there was that time where you handed this other thing off and it went beautifully. Like that's, that's one small thing. So when we start paying attention to the impact of handing it off to our team members and when they handle it effectively. So, at Tap the Potential, we're always starting off with wins and successes. One of the reasons we do that is so that we are paying attention to what's going well in our business versus what's going wrong. Doesn't mean we're going to ignore what's going wrong. That needs to be addressed. But we need to be paying attention to what's going well. And that's a big piece of starting to build our confidence in ourselves as leaders. And our confidence in ourselves as leaders translates to our ability to trust our team members.
This is so true. Can you give us an example of a time where you were a bit hesitant about handing something off, but then it just exceeded your expectations and which went much better than you could have ever dreamt of?
Absolutely. So let's talk about Caitlin. So Caitlin came to one of our VIP days very early on in her employment at Tap the Potential. And she said, I had asked for the team members who were there to share their visions with me for how they see themselves growing at Tap the Potential. And so she asked to share her vision with me, and she shared a big, hairy, audacious vision. And she said, I want to be success team lead and connect team lead. And I want to combine these two roles and sync things up and make us more efficient and make us stronger. And I, in my head, was thinking, she has no idea what's involved and how much is being done by the Connect lead, which, by the way, at the time was Melissa. And she has no idea what's involved and all the things Melissa's doing over there. And I'm the success team lead. She has no idea what I'm doing here. She has no idea how big this is. And she was still fairly new. I didn't say any of that to Caitlin. I thought, wow, I've never considered this possibility.
Mm.
She's seeing something I don't see. She's seeing a possibility I don't see, and I want to be curious about it. And within a year's time, she stepped into Connect lead and Success lead, and she has streamlined. She's built team underneath her that is supporting her, and we show up so much more powerfully because of what she's done in that role. And if I would have played small and allowed my fear to even come out of my mouth and say, "Oh, Caitlin, you have no idea," like, oh, that would have diminished her, and it would have kept her playing small. So I had to have confidence, like, that here is someone who sees something I don't see. I just need to be curious about this, and let's see where it goes.
So I want to point out something else in this scenario. So she's wearing multiple hats. At the time, I was wearing multiple hats, which is very common in small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
And along with being able to really fully practice that autonomy, getting your team members in the right seats is critical. So I was over delivery and marketing, and I can do both, but I really, really shine in delivery.
Yes.
So I identified, just because I know Caitlin, she's my daughter, so I knew her capabilities. I knew she could take that marketing seat and just run with it. And it was scary, to hand that over and just fully focus on delivery for myself as well. But since that opportunity happened, it has freed me up to focus on delivery so much. And I just appreciate that. And she was able to bring on team members that we had not seen was even possible.
Yes.
So there's a trickle down effect for these decisions that we do make. What I hear all the time from our clients is nobody can do it. Nobody's going to do it like me.
Yes.
I'm the only one, and I wouldn't even know how to train someone else to do what I do. So you really shine at this, Dr. Sabrina, and you are just willing to just let your team members roll with anything in the business. And I love that about you. So can you tell me, what is the secret to just letting go and trusting that someone else is going to show up for your company just as you would?
It's this. You got to know how to hire A players. How to hire the best. It really sets you up for success, because when you know how to hire A players, you are hiring people. You're following the how to hire the best methodology. You are thinking about what are the key results that I need in this role. And you're hiring people with the personality strengths who can deliver those key results exceptionally well, day in and day out. As you were talking about, the multiple hats, my mind flashed onto how the marketing used to be done at Tap the Potential. 5 years ago, it was me coaching, doing the marketing. And now I think, wow, we have this role divided up between like 4 or 5 team members now. And I took a 4-week vacation, and I set something up wrong in Active Campaign. I was trying to work ahead so I could take my 4-week vacation, and I set up a marketing campaign wrong in Active Campaign. So everyone who was not our client got this critical, end of year strategic planning series, and our clients did not get a strategic planning series because I hit a few wrong buttons or did something wrong. And that was eye-opening to me, because at that point, it's not just marketing being impacted, it's our service delivery being impacted. So this whole idea that no one can do it as well as me is just our ego lying to us. And it's keeping us playing small, because I knew when I came back from that was one of my things that I learned from that 4-week vacation, is it's time to bring someone on for marketing. And I was really scared about doing that, because I thought, no one knows our clients at Tap the Potential the way I do. How could they possibly convey what needs to be conveyed?
Mm.
And as I made some missteps in doing that, some costly missteps in doing that. And it took me about 3 tries to get it right and get the right person in that seat. And when we got that right person in that seat, it was Melissa, who was also doing delivery. And so this whole thing about wearing multiple hats, yes, we have to do that in our businesses for a period of time. And it's hard, it's unfortunate, but if we decide that no one can do these other hats as well as we can, and we hold on to those multiple hats, we are watering down our impact. So the first thing that happened is, when I got marketing off my plate, I could focus more on delivery. And then as I got delivery more and more transitioned to Melissa as lead strategist, it was clear, like, she's great at marketing, but she shines as a lead strategist. And so this is the kind of the chess game that we are playing continually in our business, is figuring out, each of us has gifts, and which role really taps into our gifts and allows us to shine. And it's not just shining outwardly, but it's also what gives us energy at the end of the day. When we have worked a full day and we're leaving and we're saying, yes, that was a good day, and you're feeling that energy, that's a sign that you're working from your strengths, versus when you work a day and you go home and you're just like, I'm kind of baked, I'm done, I need that downtime. That's a sign that you were probably not in your strengths most of the day. And so our job as leaders in our businesses, whether we're the business owner or we're on the leadership team, is to continually be looking for, what are our team members' strengths, and how can we align more and more of what they're doing so that they're working from their strengths. And that's really when we delegate clear results to A players and we align their strengths, that's where we see that 900 to 1200% increase in productivity that you get from A players versus warm bodies. Because A players are in a role with clear results, working from strengths, and they're going to shine.
Exactly. And I feel like this is a place that I just live in completely. I experienced the same transition, feeling like tired at the end of the day, depending on what I was doing, whether it was marketing or delivery. And now that I'm only solely focused on delivery, I get up in the morning and I look at my calendar and I say, oh my gosh, look at who I get to meet with today. I get to see this client or meet with this group. And it's totally energizing. And at the end of the day, I'm not feeling that drain. And, I share this all the time, and it's 100% true. We put in our team members at Tap the Potential put in a 25-hour work week, but we are producing 40-hour-a-week results,
or more than
or
40
more
results.
We know what our key result is. We reverse engineer that, and we have full autonomy to say, okay, what are the tasks that we have to complete to drive my key result forward and achieve my KPI goals. So once you reach that point where you've identified your team members that are going to be in this particular role, and you've given them full autonomy. So just like you did with me, Dr. Sabrina, you said, this is your baby. You do it. And we have VIP days, which is our in-person coaching days with our higher level groups next week, which we're so thrilled about. And you said to me, this is your baby, you own it. And you
Yes.
fully entrusted me to create the agenda and everything around that. And, that feels so empowering for me as a team member to know that you trust me so much. And I really believe that when I went through that agenda and I took a look at what we've done in years past, this year we were really able to up level it because I did take a look at it, because that's my sole focus is delivery. I was able to take a look at this and say, this is what our clients want to experience, and here's how we can deliver it. So once you identify the role for your team member and given them that full autonomy, a business owner has made that decision. Okay, I'm going to trust them, and then I'm going to send them on their way and let them grow their baby. There's a
Mhm.
few next steps that have to happen to set your team member up for success. And I want to dig into those. So, if you could speak to these, Dr. Sabrina, they are identifying the key results that your
Mhm.
team member is expected to achieve, setting up the systems to help that team member achieve them, and then communication and one-on-one meetings. So let's just dig into those 4 areas that are critical to success.
Yes. So let's talk about the key results first. Um, I learned something from you, Melissa, about how impactful it is to not just have key results, but also have a vision and an experience tied to those key results. So one of the things we have performance metrics for our delivery, like that show, and these are our KPIs around delivery that show if the strategist is doing a good job. And we track these metrics. So one of them is the percentage of our clients achieving our promised result of more time for what matters most and more money in the bank account than ever. And we have an incredibly high percentage around that. So that's a number. One of the things that I think is so valuable is you asked me for my vision of the delivery at Tap the Potential. And I wrote that out like a story. And I emphasized I want to feel proud of our team and what we're doing for our clients. Because there was a point in time where I didn't feel proud of that. And so it was very important to me, like, I've lost my pride in what we're doing. We need to get back to that. So that was part of, yes, here's the metric that I want, and here's the experience that I want to have as the business owner. I want to be proud of our team and what we're doing. And then I also talked about what kind of feedback I would be hearing when I am proud. So I talked about I would be getting happy mail in my inbox of Dr. Sabrina, you're not going to believe, but we took a weekend off and we went apple picking, or and we've never taken any unplugged time, and it's because of what Melissa or someone else on the team has helped me to see or do. Or I had a message the other day about someone hiring A players, and now they're delegating and letting go, and their life is totally different. And Melissa, 90% of that is what Melissa has done. And so I laid out, I want to have happy email. I want to get email about our clients just being ecstatic and over the moon about the results they're getting. And so Melissa then worked backwards. So she came in and she saw where the KPIs around delivery were. She had a target, and she worked backwards. And there were systems that needed, some systems existed, some needed to be improved. But because she knew the target, she was able to look at where are the gaps in our system. And it's that, so Melissa, you identified it's putting systems in place, and it's the ongoing communication, the one-to-one meetings where all of this really comes together, because Melissa would come into our one-to-ones and say, I've identified we have a gap here. In our leadership team, our quarterly planning session yesterday, Melissa identified a huge ongoing recurring challenge that comes up in our delivery. And yes, when she identified it, I was like, oh yeah, I totally see it. But it was not top of mind for me. I wasn't seeing it as something we need to address. But because she's so focused on here's the result we're trying to deliver and here's a point of friction. And if she said, I don't have a solution, I don't know what needs to be done. But if we can identify and really wrap our arms around what is this friction, then we will be able to start identifying solutions. So Melissa is taking ownership. She's saying, this is something that needs to be addressed. It's not coming from me. It's not Dr. Sabrina coming into the quarterly meeting and saying, hey, Melissa, I've been noticing XYZ. This is Melissa saying, I'm seeing this happen over and over. And I think there's a solution, but and so Melissa's not saying, I'm going to come up with a solution. Melissa's saying, I need to talk to our clients. I need to talk to our team members and get the different perspectives. And the quarterly goal is to just get the scope of the problem and start to identify possible solutions to that problem. And that is where I can't do that and do the other things that I'm doing for Tap the Potential. So when we delegate, we're going to get better results when we're delegating to A players.
That's a great point. When you're delegating to A players, and how to hire the best is just hands down the best solution to identifying who those A players are for your team, and then attracting them, onboarding, and retaining them. So how to hire the best, and Dr. Sabrina said it's this earlier. She was actually holding up the How to Hire the Best book. So if you haven't read the How to Hire the Best book, please grab it. The big key, I believe, to giving your team members autonomy and setting them up for success is showing them the big picture. So when you're assigning tasks to them, informing them of how this fits into the company and the overall big picture, because if they aren't performing tasks on time and they're missing deadlines, but they're not understanding how their consequences are affecting other team members or your clients or customers, they're not going to understand the importance of it. And you really get more buy-in from your team as well when you give them that high level picture and show them really where they fit in the organization. So those things are really important. Another thing that we see oftentimes with business owners, and we know all business owners are busy. It feels like most of us never have enough time, but communicating with team members is vital.
Yes.
And that's one thing that we push aside. And sometimes we get caught up in the trap of thinking, well, I told them to do this. Maybe they have a checklist, or, this seems easy and simple. But truthfully, you have to have some communication ongoing with your team members. And one thing that is vital and a total game changer is having one-on-one meetings with your team members. And then being available to your team. And Dr. Sabrina, you do this very well, and I would love for you to share with everyone how you accomplish this in a 25-hour work week, mind you. But how do you accomplish this ongoing communication to be there and support your team members? And you do it with so much grace and patience. And sometimes you're saying things over and over. You had to reassure me this morning on something that you said the same thing so many times. And it was so amazing because as soon as you gave me your response, I'm like, okay, I've heard this before and before and before. But you reassured me, and then you said, and keep coming back and asking me the same question. You're so kind of patient. So tell us the key to communication and supporting trust and autonomy with your team members.
So the greatest gift we can give another human being is our emotional presence. So when I show up to a meeting with a team member or with clients, I am locked in, like in my little Zoom box. I know you see me on the screen, but I am locked in. You have my full attention and presence. My life may be crazy outside, out of that 25-hour box, but when I'm here, I'm here. And it's the impact of full focus and presence. It's quantity over quality. no, it's quality over quantity, quality, focus, and presence versus lots of touch points. And so slowing down, especially if you are in an office environment like face to face and seeing each other every day, it's very easy to just be on the fly and sharing information really fast and moving on. Be that leader who stops and says, come sit down. Let's, tell me about this. Tell me more. And putting your phone away and being fully present is what makes the biggest difference. And yes, being open to repeating information. It, when something is hard for a team member and they're coming to you for support around it, it's hard for them. And you can share your perspective, and it reminds them there's a different way to see this situation. And for me, reiterating that perspective that I shared with Melissa was also helpful for me because it's a good reminder. I'm like, oh, yes, I needed to hear this myself today. So I'm glad I got to share it with Melissa. We all become better and stronger, but it's really about the quality of focus and listening. And I think that is where we just get caught up in being fast paced, and we miss a lot because of it.
Yes. Yes. You want your team members to feel like they can reach out to you and that it's a safe place. And you fostered this environment with our whole team. And an example of this is we just had something come up yesterday that really needed to be handled. And I meet with our client concierge, Donna, usually once a week on Thursdays. And we're all client delivery. And I have learned not to make decisions without talking with Donna, because Donna sees all the balls in the air and she's going to catch them. So she always opens my mind to thinking. And it's important to have those weekly communication meetings, because really we're saving time and resources by getting together and communicating. So we typically meet on Thursdays, and I had reached out to Donna yesterday. And when we meet on Thursdays, we have coffee and chocolate together. So I reached out to Donna yesterday and I said, it's a coffee and chocolate day. And Donna did not say, do you want to meet? Donna said, what time do you want to meet? I am available. Mm-hmm. And that's because we have fostered a culture within our company where we support one another and we reach out for help and we communicate. So I really appreciate. So to wrap us up, one final thing is, after you have all of these things in place, setting clear expectations and deadlines for your team is really critical. And that goes back into systems, which we've recently talked about on the podcast. It's just having those systems in place so that your team members aren't guessing and trying to figure things out, because that's when balls do get dropped. And then just showing appreciation for your team members. And this doesn't have to necessarily be monetary. It could just reach out to them randomly and say, thank you. I noticed you accomplished this. I appreciate you. It could be sending them a $5 gift card for a coffee. Or one thing that I love that you do is you send handwritten notes. And I have everything that you have ever sent me, and I keep it in my office. And I appreciate that so much more than that monetary reward, because I know you're paying attention and it's coming from your heart.
Yeah. I love knowing that. And I think we don't slow down enough as leaders to acknowledge people, and acknowledgement feels good. And so a lot of times I hear business owners saying, well, am I supposed to tell them they did a good job just because, that's expected that they're going to do a good job. Yes, it's expected. And yes, you need to acknowledge it. Don't take it for granted. When your A players are showing up and they are shining from their gifts, we need to acknowledge it. And one point that we touched on in passing, but I think it's really important we draw this out, and that is to delegate results, not tasks. Nobody can shine at a task. It's just like, you're checking a box. When you delegate a result, that's an opportunity to shine because someone can deliver that result and they can deliver it exceptionally well when they're working from their strengths. And they get to have input on how they get to that result. And that's where you get the buy-in. And that's what you need to acknowledge is that creative individual who's an A player on your team who has figured out how to deliver a result exceptionally well. Acknowledge them because they're working from their strengths and they're being a gift from their gifts.
Absolutely. When you give them the autonomy to achieve the result in the way that not only works for them, that is likely more effective, because as a business owner, you're in the weeds of many things in your business typically. And giving them the authority to make decisions and really have the input on how systems are created and implemented is a game changer, because they're actually the ones that are going and doing the things day in and day out. So thank you, Dr. Sabrina, so much for this valuable information today. You truly shine in this area. It's just, I can't express to you how much I appreciate your support on our team and the way that you show up for not just our team, but our clients, support them through this, because this is how work supports life.
Yes, it is. And I'm honored to share this, and I hope it makes an impact and a difference in your business.
Okay. Thank you for tuning in today.